Skoda Octavia 1.6 TDI, third generation. This video will show you how to replace alternator in this car. So first what we're gonna do is jack up the car. It's jacked up already. We're gonna secure it with studs and then remove the bottom cover. One more thing before we get to the alternator, we need to disconnect the battery. 10mm nut. Just undo it. Simply because there is a live wire that goes from positive to the alternator that charges the battery, and we don't want to apply that live wire anywhere when battery is connected. So to make sure it's not getting back, I'll just put this cover on. That's it. When you're under your car, probably best to wear your glasses. We have to remove this plastic cover first. Few T25 screws. One in the front. Then we have few here. T25s. Three on this side, and then in this car is 4 here. Then at the back here we normally have 3 bigger screws. These ones are T45, so we undo them. Once these are undone, then we have a few plastic catches. I'm going to show you now. Then, whenever all bolts out, we have 2 plastic catches here. Press on them. You can help yourself with the screwdriver, and then you take the cover off. Because we're going to access alternating from the bottom and from the right, because the belt is on this side of the car, we're gonna undo the bolts and remove the right wheel. Now we want to remove, for easier access, because it's all there, for easier access we want to remove T25s to remove inner side of the wheel arch. Now with all screws undone, have a look, they go around the edge, and then few on the inside, some on this end, on the back, some on this. Just look for all these T25 screws, and then you can remove this inliner. I'll put it out in the rain to have a quick wash. Now we have access to the alternator. This is alternator, this is our compressor. We're gonna get it out of the way. So we're gonna detension the tensioner for auxiliary belt, 16mm spanner, turn it anti-clockwise. If you can see this little hole, you should match hole in. Put the pin in until it goes through, and then it stays there. So now with belt loose, we can take the belt off. And one important thing, if you're gonna refit the belt, at least all manuals say like that, try to make sure it spins the same way. So what my system is normally, you see these letters VW AG, so I just remember that letters bottom facing out of the engine, so we're gonna refit it the same way. Next thing we need to do is to remove the compressor, because it's in the way to our alternator. It held by 3 bolts, 13mm, 1, 2, and another one, and another bolt is just on the back of the compressor. We remove this connector by pressing this, or you can help with a screwdriver from another end, but this one comes off pretty easy. So one, and those two at the front, two and one at the top there. Remove compressor, and we're not gonna disconnect it from the system, so we'll keep it hanging on its hoses. They're not that tight. So with the last bolt out, I took all two others out, just to give you an idea what's going on. We can push this compressor down for this little hole, so it just doesn't stay in the way. Another thing that stays in the way is this tensioner. So as you can see, it covers the bolt that holds the alternator here, this little bolt here. And then if we release it, it still will cover this bolt. So we want to remove this tensioner by removing these two spline bolts, one at the top. You can't see it, but one is here, another here. So it's spline, 10mm spline, look like this. And then it's not too tight either. And we undo it. A little hack to get to this top bolt. To this one here, release the tensioner again, get to the bolt, make it loose, and then we can just take it all out like that. So just take the tensioner out. Now the alternator is held by two bolts here, 13mm. There will be some electrical connections on the back of the alternator, but we disconnect them later after we move it out of its bracket, so we can get more access from the back. Make sure your battery is disconnected because it's important, otherwise you'll make some sparks here. Right, alternate with two bolts out, alternator sits still tight in this bracket. I'll show you why later. And what I'm gonna do is just move it with little pry bar, just to get it moving. As you can see, it's moving. You can use big screwdriver or something just to get it out of its position. And then I'm gonna take this out, wiggle it out. I'm gonna disconnect connections at the back because it's hard to get there with the camera, but later I'm gonna show you what connections they are. So stay tuned. So it's moving eventually, and this is how it goes. Once it's loose, take it out of the top. Eventually, I will come out of there. There we go. Now it's loose, and I'm gonna take it, pull it down, and then disconnect all the wiring. So these are the connections from the back of the alternator. Just simple plug the connector, standard VW. Then we have this little 8mm bolt that holds the cables. Just like a little loop here, just keep cables in place. And this is for the main wire that charges the battery, 13mm, and normally it has a plastic cover at the top because it's important to keep it insulated. So this one is for, I'll show you the wire. So this is the plug. As you can see, this is the big charging wire. Make sure it's clean. So before you put new alternator in, clean it up with some sandpaper or something. And this is just for that little 8mm that holds wires in place. Simple. Comes the new alternator. The part number, have a look at this one, 030903023J. So make sure it fits quite a lot of 1.6 TDI. It will fit the Golf. I'll put the link in the description to the company that sells rebuilt alternators. It won't be brand new, but it's rebuilt, and we need to make sure it's the same connections. There's only one pin inside the connector, and I just want to point something out. Oh, they didn't do it, did they? Basically, why the alternator was so tight, because of these metal bits. As you tighten the bolts, they pull in and they tighten it up. So what they didn't do when they rebuilt the alternator, they didn't push them back. And there is a few ways to push them back. Try to hit them with the hammer, but not to damage anything else. Or what I normally do, I put the bolt in, and then with a few taps of hammer I push them back out. So what we do, we can either hold it somehow, as you see they've gone back, they're almost flat with this. A bit more. There we go. Now it will go inside the bracket nice and easy. Do that to the other one. So as you can see, this is in line here with the alternator body, so it will go back into bracket really loose and easy. Once you start tightening those bolts up, they go tight. Before you do that, reconnect connectors. Big wire goes here. Make sure it's clean and nice. 13mm nut, insulation cap, connector, this little 8mm bolt to hold the wire, tighten up, compressor, tensioner, everything back as we done in the reverse sequence, just to make sure that you've done properly, so you don't have to remember all video. I have a website, link in the description, if you go by that link, you'll get to a full description of this job with images, screenshot of what we've done here today. It will generate PDF file for you, so you can print it out and take it to your garage or wherever you're doing it. So you're welcome. All links in description. Thank you for watching.